where do self-limiting beliefs come from? Where do they start? And you know what I found? I found that quite often they may start with a huge crisis like I did. It may be something that is said over you, something to you. Hey, it may be that thing that was said to you in the playground. It may be something that was said by a doctor. It may be somebody who said, you know what, you're never going to get on in life. Just accept the way you are.
Mr. Tony Lynch is a business growth consultant, a mentor, a coach. I've had the opportunity of meeting him, and also, I met him in Florida first. It's actually very interesting. We're not far away from ourselves, but we tend to meet ourselves more outside the country than even in the country. So yeah, we met in Florida, and then we've met again at the Under Hall event with Paul Martinelli in London. He's one of he's on the teaching faculty of the John Maxwell team. One of the people who help bring a lot of value to what we do in that group. He's a business growth consultant, coach. He equips people and businesses for success and preparing them for a better future. Tony is also a regular speaker at events, as well as he's been on the TEDx. He's been a TEDx speaker and has been featured in Inc. for the 100 great leadership speakers for your next conference. He's also been a judge at the UK and International Business Awards in London and Amsterdam. At the end of today, I'll be giving you an opportunity for how you can get in touch with Tony. But tonight, we're going to be looking at a conversation, beliefs, intentional, and growth. And over the next 20 minutes, guys, go get your notes. You are going to be learning so much from Mr. Tony Lynch. And as always, I will come back in after about 20 minutes, and we're going to spend time in Q&A. But tonight, guys, if you do have any questions, like as always, put them in the comment section, and we would ask those questions. We're here to learn. Every Monday evening, I bring you somebody who's going to teach us something and gives us an opportunity to learn. Mr. Tony Lynch, once again, I'm grateful for this opportunity, and we're all here to learn, and we look forward to learning something from your wealth of experience. Over to you, Tony.
Thank you. Aaron, first of all, can I say thank you ever so much for inviting me here tonight. It's really good. And I'd just love to, just looking on this right-hand side of the screen, seeing what people are grateful for. And it's that attitude, isn't it? That attitude of gratitude that is really so strong. So I can see that with the group that you have here. You've got a group that got a good attitude, an attitude of gratitude, which is really important.
Thank you very much.
Because that attitude of gratitude can often impact the way that we see lives. It will impact the way that we see ourselves and what we can do. So first of all, thank you ever so much.
Thank you so much.
Inviting me here tonight.
Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, my friends, I want to make the most of probably about 20 minutes that we've got together. And I want to share tonight something of my heart that I know will impact you. It's impacted other people. And I believe it will impact you tonight as well. You've probably seen at the bottom of the screen, it says my name, Tony Lynch. Company is called keepthinkingbig.com. But I want you to look at that word big, B-I-G, B-I-G. And take that into the frame of keep thinking big, because there are a lot of people in this world through circumstances that would love you and I to think small. But actually, I think we need to think big. I'm a person of faith, and I believe God would want us to be those that think big as well. But as I look at my life today, who am I? I'm a father, I'm a husband, I've got 2 children, Caroline and Christopher. I've got 3 wonderful grandchildren as well. And so some of my family live nearby and some live about a couple of hours away. I'm really blessed to have a family, grandchildren. I'm in a great church, very active in the church, very active in business. And, from my side, as you look at my life, I'm really thankful to God for where I am today. But I want to share a story with you. That was not always the case. That was certainly not always the case. Come on with me back to when I was a little boy. I was a little boy, and at the age of 7, I wonder where you were at the age of 7. I wonder what you were doing at the age of 7. But I remember at the age of 7 that my dad said to me one day, Tony, this coming weekend, I'm going to interview you. Those were the days where we had, those things that went around, the recorders, and that I'm going to interview you. And I want you to tell me what you want to do in life. So as a young 7-year-old boy, I remember that Saturday morning, my dad set up the microphone and he said, so Tony, I want to interview to you today. What is it you'd love to do in life, later in life? What does a 7-year-old boy say to that? I said, well, Dad, I'd like to own a theatre. I'd love to have some big cars. I think I said I'd love to have a hotel. I'd like to have a big team of people working for me. Oh, I remember I said I also want a helicopter. And I shared a few other things. But actually, what I was doing in an immature way was I was sharing a dream about my future. Move on in life until I was 11. So my dad and we were very, very close. But at the age of 11, I would hear 5 words that would totally, totally change my life forever. These 5 words, friends, I had never thought about. These 5 words I had never prepared for. And they had a crippling effect upon my life as that 11-year-old boy. And the 5 words were the following. Tony, your dad has died. That had a huge impact upon my life. I remember at the funeral when the coffin went down and I put some soil down. I remember thinking to myself, not only am I burying my dad, but I'm burying my dreams. I'm burying my dreams because he heard my dreams. He knew my dreams. And it was as though my life was going into the grave with him. It was as though my dreams were going into the grave with him. That had a devastating effect on my life. From the age of 11 to 15 and a half, my life went from bad to worse, to worse, to worse, to worse, until one day I got so fed up with life, I just could not stand life as a messed up teenager, angry teenager. I'd lost my dad. And at the age of 15, I thought to myself, I need to get out of this. And the only way I knew how to get out of this was to get out of life. So I tried to take my own life. I tried to commit suicide at the age of 15. Only to wake up in hospital a bit later with a tube down my throat. And the first thought that came to my mind was, Tony, you couldn't even do that right. Everything in my life I tried to do did not work out. Just a couple of weeks later, a friend invited me actually to his church. And then for me, life began to change because I went to his church and I became a Christian. And life totally changed for me, quite dramatically, quite a huge turnaround. And actually what I then came to learn in life was even though I didn't have still my earthly father, who I loved to this day, I had my heavenly father. But my heavenly father now began to show me new dreams. You know, they weren't the dreams of the helicopter. They weren't the dreams of the big flashy cars. They were the dreams of helping people in life. They were the dreams of impacting people in business. They were the dreams of family. They were the dreams of seeing his kingdom come. So my life totally changed, and now I'm caught up with his vision, with his dreams for my life. But those self-limiting beliefs, they had such a impact upon my life. And then I did a research. How long ago was that? Probably about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe. And I looked into this whole realm of self-limiting beliefs because I'm a business person and I work with a lot of people in business. And self-limiting beliefs can impact anybody. And so I did a research to find out, where do self-limiting beliefs come from? Where do they start? Because actually, if we can find this out, sometimes we can deal with them. And you know what I found? I found that quite often they may start with a huge crisis, like I did. It may be something that is said over you, something to you. Hey, it may be that thing that was said to you in the playground. It may be something that was said by a doctor. It may be somebody who said, you know what, you're never going to get on in life. Just accept the way you are. People have perhaps said negative things. And what happens with a negative belief, a negative comment, is that often it will translate and come into you with then a self-limiting belief. Because then actually what happens, it impacts your behavior. It impacts your behavior. So as it were, it goes into the mind, it goes into the heart. But actually how it's worked out is by comments such as, I can't do this. Perhaps it's better if other people do this. Other people seem to be more gifted than I am. That person seems more business orientated than I am. Those people all seem to have it together. But for me, I don't. And it's a behavior, and it begins to come out with words, but it's our behavior that then begins to be like a habit in our lives. I wonder if you can resonate with what I'm saying. If you can, just pop it in the chat box there so I can see. But I expect some of you'll resonate with things that I've been saying. So as I did this research, I found where self-limiting beliefs start from. And then I realized that actually, as I looked at the word big, B-I-G, I thought actually I'm catching something that is going to help people. And so, we don't have, as it were, because of the command of time tonight, I don't have a whole morning or a whole afternoon to go through this with you now. But I want to just touch the top of the waves with this that I've shared with other businesses and with other groups of people in this country and also in several other countries. So let's look at the word beliefs. Let's look at the first letter, B. If you've got a pen and paper, I want you just to write down the word beliefs. And I want you to start to ask yourself and answer yourself the following questions. What do I believe about myself? What do I believe that I'm capable of achieving in life? What do I believe that I can really do? What do I believe about the impact that I can have? What do I believe about my voice, in being a voice in your community? What do I believe about my business, about my team? Maybe you're selling a product. What do I believe about my offering, my product? What do I believe about that? Because if we have a low limiting belief, it's going to impact us in so many different ways. But if I could say to you, I could put up two hands. I'm sure perhaps you could join me, and I could put up 2 feet as well, in the sense that, self-limiting beliefs, they had an impact on me. I wouldn't say that they have much of an impact upon me today. They will every so often, but not too many times, because I've learned to work through this. But actually, the reason why we sometimes hold back, our limiting beliefs get the better of us, is because if we can be transparent on this call tonight, you and I, we've all had setbacks. And often that setback, can't they, friends, can keep us back. But I want you to write this down, because this could change your life tonight. Write the following words down that I'm going to share with you now. A setback can be a setup to come back. Let me say that again. A setback can be a setup to come back. And for some of you, you need to hear that tonight. You're living in a setback. But I want you to be able to change that tonight. I want you to be able to pivot. I want you to be able to move out of that in whatever context that you're in, to believe that actually this setback that I've got, I'm not going to remain in this setback, but I'm going to believe and I'm going to use this setback as a setup in order to come back. Guard your self-talk. Be really clear on what you listen to. Be clear on the conversations you have with yourself. Have some good people around you. This is what I do. I have good people around me. Beliefs are really important. Make sure that the people you're working with, the people around you, are pouring into you good. Actually, when people meet with you, do they go away feeling good? You know, are you like that sort of penthouse person, or are you that person down in, as it were, the basement? You know, when they get into the lift of life and they come and meet you, you know, do they get out feeling, I'm on the penthouse, I'm on the top of the world, having met with you? Or do they feel as though they're walking out of the basement? You know, our beliefs have really got to impact us. But can I say this, because of time as well? You and I, we could believe for the world. And I believe full-heartedly that mindset is really, really important. But you know what? One of the downfalls that I do see in the world that I move in is that a lot of people, they keep going around the circle of the beliefs, and they never, as it were, come out of that in the sense of their life being transformed. Because you and I could believe for the world. We could be really smart, and you know, we could put our beliefs together and we could believe for the world. But friends, if we stay at home, if we don't do anything about it, it's just a happy belief. Our beliefs have got to come to a point in our life where it causes us to step out to do things that we've never done before. I often challenge myself, Tony, when was the last time you did something for the first time? I want to ask you this. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Allow your beliefs to now impact your actions. So we move from the beliefs, now to intentions. Because beliefs have got to impact our intentions. Because if we're growing in our beliefs of ourselves, of what we can do, it's got to be shown, friends, in our outward behavior, in what we do. Today, the life I live, I don't believe I would have been living this life if I stayed in my self-limiting beliefs that I had as a teenager. I thank God that he didn't allow me to die as a screwed up teenager, but he had a purpose for my life. There's a purpose for your life. So be very intentional. Now, what can you do to be intentional? One of the things I love about intentionality is that you begin to get very real of where you want to get to. So you begin to have a plan. You begin to have a process. Make a note of this. Plan ahead to stay ahead. If you want to be successful in life, and when I meet people who are successful, I can tell you, if I ask them to tell me, what is your process for success? They'll always have a process. They will be able to articulate that very well because they are very intentional. One of the things about successful people, and I know success can be looked at from many different angles, is actually one of the things about success is that people value their time. They're very intentional with their time. So what are you doing today that perhaps you need to give up in order to go up? What are the things that you need to take out of your life in order to grow up? What are the things that are distracting you? So you've got to be very, very intentional in moving forward. So plan ahead to stay ahead is really important. So how can you be more intentional? Often it's through accountability, because sometimes, if you're like me, we could judge ourselves on our intentions, but not our outcomes. We've got to be really intentional, but that intentional to actually translate, to do the actions that you want to do, often you will need like an accountability partner. For me, I mentor a lot of people, and they love that because they know that, if they were left alone, they probably wouldn't do the things that they really want to achieve in life. Make a note of this next statement. Accountability, let me rephrase that. Good accountability, because not all accountability, but good accountability will increase your capability. Good accountability will increase your capability. So if you want to be really moving to your full potential, be accountable, but be accountable to the right type of person. Be accountable to the person who sees the big vision and the possibilities and the potential that lay within you. I often say that a great coach can always, always, always see the masterpiece within you. There's a masterpiece within you that needs to come out to impact the world. Don't allow circumstances, don't allow self-limiting beliefs to, as it were, take hostage of that masterpiece that is within you. Allow that to come out. Give yourself permission for that to come out. So be very intentional, be accountable, because I can tell you in my life, again and again and again, if I'm accountable with my vision, with my gifts, with my skills, my capability increases. Why? Because often I might have a good idea. My accountability partner can help to shape me up, and together my good ideas become a great idea. In my favorite book, there's a proverb that says, iron sharpens iron. There's a clue there, friends. There is a big clue there. So be intentional. Be intentional. Winners, make a note of this. Winners are trackers. Trackers are winners. If you want to move ahead, you've got to be intentional, but you need to know what you need to track. You don't need to track everything, but there will be things you need to track. So, for instance, if you're an athlete, you'll be tracking your run. You'll be actually tracking, how much you're eating, how much you're drinking. There will be things that you need to track along the way. And if you can be really intentional, you could be a winner. Winners are trackers. Trackers are winners. But make sure you're tracking the right things with intentionality. Lastly, if we are believing well, we're guarding our mind, we're building ourselves up, our beliefs are translating into intentionality, we're doing things that we've never done before, we're growing, we're taking more control, we're not where we were last year, we are now growing, we're very intentional with our time. Make a note of this, just about time before I move on to the next point. Just want to leave you this golden nugget. In business terms, there's often what's called the ROI, the return on investment. You may have heard of that. I talk a lot about that as a business growth consultant. But I've put something else together called ROT. It's not a pleasant word, it's rot. But do you know what ROT stands for? Return on time, return of time. How you use your time is really critical. You and I, we have one thing in common, even though we haven't met. We all have 24 hours in a day. How we use it is something else. So your return on time, am I getting a return on time? So look at it this way. Am I spending time or am I investing time? Critical truth here. Am I spending time or am I investing time? If I'm spending time, there's not going to be much of a return. If I'm investing time, there's going to be a return. Tonight, I want to put a challenge to you. Are you spending time in areas that you shouldn't be? Or are you actually investing time? Make a note. Let me move on to the next one, G. So if we've got beliefs, we're intentional, we're growing, and now we move to the next letter, G. And some people think that that word is goals. Well, actually, it isn't. It's growth. The reason why it's growth is because if it's growing, it's living. If it's living, it's growing. So actually, you need to grow. You need to grow. I am a goal-orientated person and I'm a growth-orientated person. but I want to speak to you something about goals that if you can get this truth, it will help you to see goals in a new way. Are you ready? I want to share it with you. Goals must always be a stepping stone to your next goal. Make a note of this. Always have a goal beyond the goal. Always have a goal beyond the goal. I meet some people who don't have goals. I have some people who have goals. I don't meet many people who have a goal beyond the goal. My intentionality is that I'm going to meet that goal. So I'm now thinking about the goal beyond the goal. So always have that mindset of a goal beyond the goal. Unfortunately, what I see sometimes with goals is that when we hit a goal, do you know what it's like? My goodness me, I've just reached that goal. And do you know what I do? I do this. I look back. I look back at the goal. I make a monument of the goal. I remember when I did this. And I'm looking back. It was a great achievement, but I'm looking back. Goals, friends. A goal beyond the goal. I don't make a monument of the goal. However, what the goal does for me is it becomes a stepping stone. It becomes that springboard to the next goal. So I'm always moving forward. So goals we celebrate, but goals always lead to and point to growth. I'm growing. Are you growing? So we have goals that take us and advance us towards the growth that we're looking for. So I put to you, as I've spoken in many countries about this, keep thinking big. Beliefs, intentions, and growth. When you put these three things together, you're going to have a powerful formula that you can take into your personal life, into your business life. You can encourage and strengthen yourself with, and you can encourage and strengthen others with. And you can take this into your family, into your workplace, and make a significant difference. Thank you ever so much for being with me.
Wow, Tony, that's so much in 20 minutes. I mean, my notes are full, and I'm sure it's the same for everyone. Let me see some of the things. Good accountability would increase one's capability. We have to become intentional with our time. Plan ahead to stay ahead. A setback is a setup for a comeback. Guys, what else did you pick up? You could put it on our goals lead to growth. Yeah, time investment is key. Are we spending time, return on time, return different from return on investment? We need to have a goal beyond a goal. I mean, you just threw, this is the expression there. Someone who's got that. Someone's like, wow, and thank you so much, guys. I want you all to don't leave me with all the questions tonight. Please bring your questions. Especially those of you who are in my tribe. This is your opportunity to hear it from someone else, not just hearing it from me. Many of you are possibly tired of hearing my voice. So Tony's here tonight. Ask your questions and I'll bring those questions up. And I'll ask those questions so that you can possibly get another perspective from Tony. All right, Tony, thanks again. On this subject of self-limiting beliefs, do you think that the way society is positioned at the moment, is society positioned in a way that we are always almost guaranteed to form limiting beliefs?
Yeah, because we do what we know. We do what we know. And, when I think about this in business context, when I think about this outside of the business context, in fact, let me give you a great example. I believe that good leaders are great encouragers. But you know what I found out? Is this. We often encourage to the level that we have received encouragement. And what is modeled to us is often what we then embrace and repeat. And so it's what, sometimes we're not aware of our capability. And that's why, when we step out and actually say, do you know what? I think there is more. I think there is more. Sometimes it's, it's not an easy journey because sometimes things have to be addressed, but it's a fruitful journey. It's a worthwhile journey to go for. And, self-limiting beliefs, I can remember a significant company I was at. You've got a picture of this, Aaron, a big boardroom table. You've got these big directors all around the table. And they've asked me to come in to actually do a similar talk to what I've done here. And when I got to the part about beliefs, you could have heard a penny drop because they realized that actually, if we as salespeople don't have full belief in the product that we're offering, if we don't have full belief in our team, this is going to impact our bottom line figure.
Yeah.
So you can see how the self-limiting beliefs isn't just something that is nice. No. It goes far, far, far beyond that. It can hit your bottom line of your profit and loss account. This was a large international company. Because actually, if you have got a team or if you're working with people and you really don't believe in your product, you're probably not going to be able to convince anybody else of it either. And if you don't believe fully in your team, guess what? Your team members will pick that up. Because actually, if I have a self-limiting belief about a team member, I might not say anything, but my body, the way I think, the body language,
the body language, definitely. Yep. Yeah. And what you just said there in terms of leaders are only able to encourage to the. Are you there, Tony?
Yes.
Yeah. Leaders are only able to encourage to the level to which they have received encouragement themselves. Could that definitely be the symptom to what we see showing up in our organizations? You're also a man of faith, a person of faith. What we see showing up in our religious organizations, where people are only able to help people or teach people or share or encourage people as a result of the programming that they have been through all through life. So they've come to these beliefs. What would be your counsel for people to now get intentional, the I in the BIG, to get intentional about checking their beliefs, where the beliefs are coming from? How is this belief serving me right now? How is it working for me? Such that I can be a better version for the people I lead.
Yeah. Let me answer that in two parts, because you talked about the encouragement one, and I just want to bring something else in on that. Even though I recognize that, Aaron, and I've seen that a number of times, I don't think that is where the person has to stay. So that might be what's called their default. They might go back there because that's their safe zone, as it were. Yeah. But they don't have to stay there, because through coaching, you could say as well, you can bring somebody out, you can develop them to grow from them, because it comes back to that, doesn't it, about growth? So, we're continuing to grow. So, you look at what you were saying about, the challenges that we have in the world is actually, what I would encourage people to do is start with the end in mind. Start with the end in mind. Now, the end in mind is, as far as I can see today, on the 26th of October, 2020. But start with the end in mind, and then begin to, what I will quite often do with a coaching client, I call it that reverse engineering. You begin to work back, and you begin to work things through. And then when you now get back to that possible starting line, you're actually starting that starting line with the end in mind. But actually now, the question I would then pose, let's say call this person Mary. Mary, you can see a better future. You can see the steps you have taken in order to get there. Now, I've got a question for you, Mary. Just to begin to share with me, what could be some of the things that could stop you in achieving that?
Mm.
And then we can then begin to work on that. But through coaching and I would say and good accountability, because your accountability, your mentor has got to be somebody who sees, as I said earlier, who sees
your
that
masterpiece. But Tony, it's not for someone who has an awareness, because there's still an awareness, and then there's still accepting of that awareness. So where you have these established leaders, and we see this a lot in the church, and for someone like me who comes from a third world country, especially from a nation like Nigeria, you have leaders who believe they know. So they're living and operating from this lower place of awareness already, but they are stuck in their ways, because it takes a certain level of humility to come to a coach like you and I to say, I actually don't know. Can you help me? So I had a pastor, and this was actually strange. Number one, obviously, it was interesting to have a Caucasian pastor approach me to say, after I spoke somewhere, to approach me to say, I want you to mentor me. I want you to coach me. And he's been a pastor for 21 years. Now, straight away from the very first day of our coaching sessions, we had a problem, because he found it difficult to bring himself out of that place of control where he's always been the pastor to actually now submit himself to be teachable and allow me see through his blind spots. Yeah. So what do you have to say about that? Because it takes a lot of our pastors, a lot of our leaders don't understand the place of coaching, don't understand the place of being teachable, don't understand the place of bringing in someone else to help them. Yeah.
Certainly from what I've seen in life, and I work with a lot of church leaders, those are leading churches as well as in the business world, is that a good leader is also a good follower. Yeah. So I might be leading, but also I should be a follower. Who am I following? So I can think of church leaders who, I'd be asking that question, I'm grateful that I can be a mentor to them, and I'll ask them those challenging questions. But I think you're right, where, what I've seen during this year, since March with COVID, is the way we are now leading is beginning to change. You go back years ago, and it was all about management, and then you had leaders coming through, and I think we had a good style of leadership. A leader would see a vision, and you'd be pressing towards that. But this is what I'm now seeing. This could be the new way for leadership. I'm definitely seeing this. Is that now it's leading through coaching. It's leading through coaching. So me as a leader, I don't come with all the answers, because now my team, very much like you here, we've got this screen in between us. So now what is happening is within churches, church leaders, and within the workplace, and in the secular world, we've now got remote teams. Got remote teams. Now, one of the ways to bring that remoteness back, the sense of working together, isn't me saying, hey, I'm the leader and this is, I've got this vision and we're going here and come and follow. But actually, always realizing that the answer remains in, you could say, the Zoom room, whatever platform you're on. And actually, leading through coaching means that actually I'm going to be asking more questions.
Yeah.
Than I'm going to be directing. And do you know what? With remote teams, it causes now, I've seen those teams to now feel more engaged. There are a lot of remote teams I'm seeing now that do not feel engaged because this is on my list to do today. This is what I do. But actually, there's not real engagement.
Interaction.
And you could say sometimes in say the churches, you could say we're very connected on screens, but are we committed? So there's lots of different things. So what I would say is that there's a transparency, there's an honesty, but we are moving, I believe, into more of a style of leading through coaching that brings those teams wherever they are to bring their best. Make a note of this if people are making notes. With good leadership, talent doesn't come and go, but talent comes and grows. I'll say it again. With good leadership, talent doesn't come and go, but talent comes and grows. But it takes a good leader. It takes a secure leader.
A secure leader, that's the word.
A secure leader to actually believe that they don't have all the talents. But with my leadership, part of my responsibility is that with good leadership, talent will come, and under my leadership, talent will grow.
So, for that kind of a leader, number one, that leader, like you said, has to be very secure in themselves.
Exactly.
Has to also be able to recognize talent and not be threatened by talent. That leader also has to be able to create the platform to, create the system to grow the people with talent, right? And then be able to give them a platform to exhibit the talent. Right? Is that the kind of thing you see with the people you work with the organizations? I mean, I can hear you say that's good where we're going to, but thus far, that's not the kind of experience that is exhibited in our world today and in leadership. And it takes, for me, when I hear what you've just described, I hear a leader who is aware. I hear a leader who understands growth and who is willing to learn, right?
Yeah. And, with good leadership, with coaching, it raises a number of things, but certainly two things that just come to mind. It raises awareness and responsibility. Responsibility, because I'm aware now, but because I'm aware, I'm now responsible. And to answer your question, I probably pose the question and come from a slightly different angle is actually, the difference I can make today, what is within my control that I can make a difference in. And actually, I do believe that I'm seeing some companies and organizations changing more to this model because they're coming to the realization that there is no point in employing just the hands and feet of people. We need to employ their brains. We need to employ their creativity within them. And when, if you want to build a company, build a team, if you really want to build a dynamic company, you really got to allow that team to be really creative because, I think, and I know that innovation and agility, not just innovation, but innovation and agility are the currency for companies today.
And for organizations at large, basically. Yeah. All right. So how do you identify, let's go back to beliefs. How do you identify what you've lost or losing out on life as a result of your thinking or your beliefs that have not been right or that are not right? So how would a person go on? Yeah.
Go on. Ask that
so yeah.
question.
So how can anyone who's listening right now come to that place of identifying that they're actually losing or that they've lost out in life or are losing out in life. So for you, you were at that point, the story you told, you were at a point about to lose out in life. You even tried to take your life out. And all that was actually as a function of your belief system, a function of the story you decided to tell yourself was happening to you. And even though you came out of that in life, you still had a story where you were telling yourself, I couldn't even take my life out. I couldn't even take my life away. That's still a belief system. And you still find where someone else would have been grateful, you still thought, I'm still hopeless. I couldn't even kill myself. So that's still a belief system. So how can you help someone with all the wrong thinking and all the wrong belief who's listening today begin to identify quickly, hey, how is this thinking helping me? How is this thinking serving me? Where am I going with this thinking? I'm going down the rabbit hole right now, and catch themselves quickly when they're in the wrong types of belief.
Yeah. Because here we're talking about sometimes, as it were, the symptoms and the roots. Yeah. So, really digging down into the roots. And so, what I've experienced in my life and how I help people is that actually you've got to come alongside good people who can speak well into your life. So probably I would ask the question of, the company I'm keeping, is it lifting me? Is it stilling me? Or is it pulling me back? Now,
wow.
There's a 3 there. Are they lifting me? Are they stilling me? Or are they
pulling me back?
Yeah, yeah. And quite often we'll mix with the first 2. Now, the last 2, pulling me back or stilling me. The stilling me is actually where people find great comfort, because it's what we call our comfort zone. It's what we are happy to do. It's really interesting. Often people use this expression, don't they? You've got to step out of your comfort zone. And I asked myself the question a while ago. It sounds quite a cliche. Okay, if I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, what am I stepping into?
Okay.
What am I stepping into? So actually, what I'm stepping into is what I believe I'm capable of. I'm not just stepping into nothing. I'm stepping out to step in. So it's got to be very intentional. So what I would do is I would think big, but start small. So for the heroes honor this, what's the 1 or 2 things I can do today that are in my control, and focus on honor those. Shall I share a tool that might help?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. If you've got a piece of paper perhaps to hand where you're listening to this, I would encourage you to, on the top left-hand side, just write the words, what is in my control? What is in my control on the top left-hand side? On the top right-hand side, just write, what is not in my control? Okay. And just put a line down the middle of the page. And just very quickly, just write 2 things on both sides. Just 2 things on both sides, just really quickly. What's in my control? What's not in my control? Now, I want to be transparent with you here. The way I grow and the way that stresses me is the following. So this is answering your question. Is if I focus on the right-hand side, things that are not in my control, guess what? I'm going to get frustrated.
Yep.
I'm going to feel defeated. I'm going to feel it's not worth it, but it's taking up my time. If I look on the left side and I discipline myself, have good people around me, I can focus on what I can control. And when I focus on what I can control, I call this control the controllables. When I do that, then it overcomes self-limiting beliefs. It now produces growth in my life because actually I'm focused on the right things. So many people slide over to the other side of a page, like I do every so often, And actually, it's not helpful. It's not helpful. But if I keep on focused on what I should be, what's in my control today? So to answer your question, where do they start, etc. What's in my control today? What's the one thing I can now begin to do? Don't do it alone. Get a good accountability partner.
Yeah.
Get a mentor. Get a coach. Get somebody who can come alongside you, because you're going to have great days, and also you're going to have days where you think, I didn't plan for this in my diary today. It's a really poor day. So make sure you've got some good people around you.
Good stuff. So we've got a question there that says, are there people who cannot be helped at all? And could it be that the self-limiting beliefs are so strong that they cannot be helped at all?
I think the easy answer, and then I'll go deeper. I think the easy answer is that everybody can be helped. Are there people who cannot be helped at all? But I understand that when somebody asks this, Aaron, they're asking that from their side. They're asking that from their side. And sometimes it's the wall is so big. The wall is so big. Can I really do this? It's so strong. And actually, they need help in order to work through these things. And come back to what I said earlier. What's just the one step you could do today that you could, within your own heart, begin to change your behavior and your habit. So are there people who cannot be helped at all? No, I do believe there's potential in everyone, and everyone can grow. But sometimes when you're on that other side, it's really difficult. When I was 15, it was really difficult. The only way I knew out was to try to get out. I knew no other way. Maybe I should have got around people who knew another way. But through circumstances, I hadn't. And I only found that person after what I tried to do.
Yeah. All right.
I hope that helps tonight.
I hope so. Guys, keep your questions coming, and I would ask Tony. So my first daughter is just there about leaving age 7 and will be 8 in January. And we are aware that between the ages of 0 to 7, solid beliefs, and you even talked about it. You had that experience with your dad at age 7, right? It was age 7 or 6, right? And that stayed with you right up till now. And because of my awareness and things like that, I'm very, very, I'm being watchful and looking at what beliefs am I giving these kids right now? What beliefs are they growing? Are they modeling? Are they living? So solid beliefs are formed between the ages of 0 and 7. What does that say about the condition of childhood? Because there are parents who are watching right now who are not aware. And that all the things that are going on right now with their little kids and toddlers, those kids are actually beginning to form solid beliefs. What can you say about childhood, growing up, and also to parents who are custodians of these children, that parents can now start becoming very aware themselves and also in helping their children grow solid beliefs and not begin to grow limiting beliefs from such an age? I'm not sure if I've asked it properly, but I think you get the drift of what.
Yeah, I'm now giving away my age here, I'm a grandfather now. And, parenting is a awesome responsibility. It's not easy. It's challenging because, we go through things as parents, but also children go through things. And, the things that perhaps your daughter is going through at school today, they won't be the things that we experienced either. And I think, perhaps as a older person, I would say, one of the ways I would say is Be a good listener.
Mm.
Be a good listener. Don't have all the answers, but be a good listener, because we know that often people won't listen until they feel that they've been heard. And so, children, for all of us, but children, to frame it with your question, children, they want to be heard. They want to be heard. And so to make sure that they feel heard. Now, a body language could show them very quickly that they're not being heard. They're just, you're just waiting for them to finish until you can get your say in. No. Making sure that we listen. And, we can do the 3 L's with children. I think is really important. The first one is that we listen to them. When we listen to them, do you know what, Aaron? We can then learn. We can learn their perspective. We can learn their understanding. We can speak into that. And then the third one, as parents, we can then lead the change that may need to happen. But we do that from an understanding of listening and learning. And also, I think to have a big picture of raising children, that actually, as parents, we're not raising children.
Oh.
We're raising leaders. We're raising parents. We're raising that next generation.
But that's an awareness, though, Tony. That's coming from an awareness.
Yeah.
If a parent doesn't see themselves as a leader, how would they know that they're there to be raising leaders?
Yeah. So by teaching into them, by getting on one of your calls, Aaron.
Yeah.
By getting on one of your calls, because actually, I believe today, as an example, that with parents, you're raising adults, future adults, future leaders. To be honest, I didn't have that concept 30 years ago when I was raising mine, because I was raising children. But actually, even that mentality, you could just say children. No. We're raising
adults.
We're raising fathers, we're raising mothers. And therefore, you see the huge responsibility and opportunity and excitement, partnership to be part of. Great question. But, getting on some of your calls, I'm sure, sharing different experiences is really important to do so. Because, some of the things that parents go through, you will not find in a book.
Definitely. And that's actually strange with all the many parenting books that we have out there, and yet no two children are the same. So anyway, so for so many people, limiting beliefs are a side key. It's their way of doing things. How can one actually identify? So for me, coming into coaching and things like that helps me pick these things up. I'm not sure I was this aware before I came into coaching and things like that. So I'm wondering, is there a way that people can quickly identify their limiting beliefs?
You could ask yourself some challenging questions to actually identify that. Yeah. Do you think I can do any more than I'm doing? Is this my full capability? Is there just 1% more within me? What, when you look at your potential and what you're doing, and friends who are listening now, just to watch me for a moment, because I just want to visualize something for you. If you had a scale, so this is 1 and this is 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are in fulfilling and reaching and embracing your potential, bearing in mind maybe some struggles with self-limiting beliefs? Just want you to write that number down for a moment. And then I've got a question for you. Now, looking at my hand, maybe you put a 4, 5, 6, 7. What would it take? What would it take to move that needle, not to 10, but just to the next number? What would it take? I want you, as you close off your night, I want you to think about that question. What would it take just to move that needle just to the next number? And I've got a hunch. This is my hunch. You might come up with an answer, but the answer that you'll get, you're probably going to have to work through with somebody as well, because you're going to be able to be accountable. But you know what? When you come up with it, you're going to be aware and you're going to be responsible and you're going to buy into it.
Oh, that's so good. So we've got a question on the screen. How can you help your teams when you identify that they're already exhibiting limiting beliefs?
As a parent, as a grandparent, it's, there's a fine line, isn't there? That actually, we need to make sure that they run their race. They're not just running our race.
Oh.
They're not just fulfilling our pattern, you could say. But actually listening, for me, I would put that to the person who answered the question. How to help teams to identify when they're struggling, exhibiting limiting beliefs, is actually listen to them and ask good coaching questions to never to belittle that, but to ask questions like, that's a really interesting behavior or belief that you've come to, which I totally appreciate. But I'm really curious. Can you just help me understand, how you got there?
Oh.
And then listen. Go back to those 3 L's. Listen, learn from them, and then lead at the appropriate time. Lead at the appropriate time. So, life is a journey. Life is a journey. And therefore, their speed may not necessarily be the speed that you want them to go ahead at. But actually listening, how did you get there? And hey, let's say call this person Graham. Okay, Graham, you shared that. Isn't there anything you'd love to change about that? So again, it's actually coaching questions.
Yeah.
It's similar to what I said earlier about, in the business context, that actually what we're now seeing is leading, effective leaders are now leading more through coaching rather than this is the way. There will be times where this is the way is appropriate. It's a bit like, the plane going down. You don't ask all the, the passengers, I wonder what we should now do. No.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure your belts are on. We're going down.
Yeah.
There'll be times for that. But there'll also be times where we can listen, learn, and lead. And if we apply that in life as a principle, it's really powerful. It will help your marriage. It will help you as a parent. It will help you as a business owner. It will help you in everything you do. But do you know what I've seen so often? Is that people try and do it the other way around. They go with the lead first. I'm going to lead. And then they turn around and realize that people aren't following. Why aren't they following? Because there's a disconnect. Because they haven't taken time to listen, to learn. And if I want somebody's hand, I've got to win their heart.
Yeah.
And so make sure that actually I'm listening, and learning, and together we're going places. Because, for me, I often describe leadership as the following. And, I could do a half-day seminar on this. This is how I describe leadership. Leadership is the ability to lead others to places where they could not have gone without you. Mm-hmm. It's packed full of truth there. Packed full of truth. You can bring that into parenting. You could bring that into business sector, into the church, wherever. Because actually, I'm not calling, I'm leading. Leading also shows vision. Taking people to places they could not have gone. That's releasing gifting and talents.
Yeah, that's good. Let's go to intent. I think we'll spend a bit more time on belief. And I personally say I believe that word intentional is easily one of the most abused words. Everybody's always talking about, I'm going to be intentional. And I don't think people ever really understand that being intentional is actually about good actions. So how can, it can't be intentional if I can't see the actions really. How can one use their intent to begin to alter their limiting beliefs?
Yep, good question.
Yeah. Also, because sometimes your intent can also be skewed by your belief.
Yeah. Yep. I would keep it really simple. What I've seen sometimes is that people say, okay, I'm going to be intentional.
Yeah.
And they try to be intentional about 100 things. I've got to change this. And they now all of a sudden they've become really busy. And guess what? Some of the things don't happen. And then, they go, I wasn't as good as I thought I was. I was going to do this, but this didn't happen. Friends, what I would say to you tonight, be intentional on perhaps 2 or 3 things. Just 2 or 3 things. Be intentional on the few, because the few can lead to the great. But often what people do is they go for the big number.
Yeah.
And then they hang themselves on their words. They hang themselves on their intentionality. And I didn't follow through. So often we hear, we didn't follow through. And, I'm so busy. No. Life wasn't meant to be busy. Life was meant to be fruitful and productive. And so therefore, I help people to say, okay, you're too busy.
Stop.
Yeah. Stop. Drill down. If you had your life again and you could only do 2 or 3 things to be really fruitful, to be effective, what would they be? What would they be? Probably some of the things you're not doing now. Or maybe some of the things you're doing now, but you know what? They're totally lost in the woods because you're doing so many other things around it as well. So busy. And so for me, as a business growth consultant, I'm all about helping people to have that awareness, responsibility, so that they can be productive and fruitful and profitable within their business. And so you've got to be very, very intentional on the things that you do. So I don't have, I'm the old-fashioned way, I guess. Yes, I can put things in books to do, in the computer to do, but I've done it for probably 35 years now, I guess. I'll have a daily to-do list that actually I call it now a action list. It's my action list. And you know what? I've found that when I only have 3 things on my action list, I feel so good.
You get to do more. Yep.
I feel so good because I achieve them. If I have 15 things and trying to be intentional on all, it's not going to happen. But what I said earlier, the few will lead to the great.
Yeah.
And so if you want to be great at being intentional, friends, what are the few things, the 2 or 3 things you can do in your life tonight and this coming week?
Cool. Something just crops up. I'm taking you back to beliefs again. What brings people to that place of awareness what is it that is actually missing before a person has this aha moment? I mean, I have coaching clients who all of a sudden will send me a message because they just got something I've probably been saying for a long time. What do you think is that thing that is missing, that all of a sudden people come to that aha moment and begin to discover for themselves where they are playing small, where they've been having a limiting belief? Do you know? Do you able to speak into that?
Yeah, that's such a great, powerful question. Some people would have heard of this expression. And it's interesting because I think this actually happened to me just about 3-4 weeks ago on something. When the student is ready,
yeah,
the teacher appears. And there was something that happened in my life just about 4 weeks ago, and it was as though it was that light bulb moment. Did somebody tell me about that probably 100 times before? Yes, they probably did, but I wasn't ready to listen in my life. And then something happened, and you know what? I'm driving 100 miles per hour for it now. So when we're ready, life is about a journey. Success isn't a destination; it's a journey, and growth. We're not talking about goal here. We're talking about growth. Growth is long term. So everyone will have growth coming to them. Now, sometimes in a business, it could be a bit like that, but actually we're continuing that curve to move up. And so there will be times where I'm ready and I hear. There'll be times where I'm not ready and I don't hear. But actually, if I'm still faithful with what I'm doing, that can be really, really helpful. So, when I'm ready, me as the student, then actually the teacher appears, meaning I'm now open to a new way of thinking, discipline, a new way of action, maybe accountability, maybe stepping up, maybe, sometimes we have to let things go in order to step up and to really make sure that we're focused on our time.
Cool. Because the time will be, I had this question. Talk to me about the role of conventional education and the role it plays in the limiting belief in our children, in people, the formation of limiting beliefs. Especially in here in the West, let alone in the third world countries.
I missed that very first part, sorry.
So the role that conventional education plays in the formation of limiting beliefs.
Yeah. I think, obviously education is huge, but we can't allow that just to be done by teachers, because us as parents, we have a powerful, influential role to play. And, if we can be, as faithful as we can be with what's been entrusted to us and see our responsibility within that, sometimes that might challenge the conventional way of education and learning. And, there may be a lesson that says we believe this, and maybe you come from a different belief set in, how we learn different things. But actually, how can we grow through that? So it's not one against the other. It's actually, how can we grow through this? How can we appreciate, but we hold on to our values? So we appreciate where people are coming from. Doesn't necessarily mean we agree with them, but we appreciate them. We appreciate their insight. Is that helpful?
Yep. So cultures, traditions, including religion, they all play a major role in how beliefs are formed, just like education.
Yes.
Who do you think owns the ownership of the truth itself? And should all beliefs be result-driven to determine its authenticity?
I missed that very last piece to be...
Yeah, should all beliefs be results-driven for it to determine its authenticity of that belief itself?
Okay, should it be driven to test it?
By results. So how do we get the truth itself? So culture tells us something that becomes a belief. Tradition tells us something that becomes a belief. Religion programs us into some kind of belief. Education programs us into beliefs. How do we actually begin to own our own beliefs? How do we find the truth as the individual where you are beginning to do your own thinking and you're not thinking through the lens of culture or thinking through the lens of religion or thinking through the lens of tradition? You are now are authentic to your own truth in itself.
Great. We're all on a journey. And one of the things for me, to answer that question personally, would be actually in my journey when different things might impact me, am I at peace?
Harmony, right?
Yeah. So, peace can be a great witness for me. So that inner peace that can come to me. And also, as a Christian, believing what God would say about me, am I at peace? So to make sure that, to come back to that example I shared about my dad, there were some, you could say, worldly, fleshly dreams, or actually, what other dreams am I believing as well? And to have, for me, that inner peace and that desire is really important.
Oh, cool. I think we just got about 4 minutes, maybe one more question. So how do we personally impact our beliefs that we formed over time? So there is some of the books and some of the things we've learned. We know that repetition is the mother of learning. Is that the only way to change beliefs? Are there other things that people can do? Because the beliefs have also been formed by constant repetition of the things that we've been doing. What tools, again, can you just help people to begin to?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, that your beliefs have basically got to get you out of the house. So it's not just a sense of believing, it's a sense of my belief has got to change my actions. My actions change my growth in the sense of what I'm growing into. And so am I taking action? So as you said about repetition, I think it is repetition, but also I think it's a sense of seeing that end in a mind. So what I said earlier about
start with the end
when was the last time I did something for the first time? So beginning to exercise, doing things that you haven't done, believing that there's more opportunity, because actually when I step up, do you know what? All of a sudden I find, oh wow, I could do that. I didn't realize that on the other side, but now I'm here. Guess what? I can see further, and actually now I can move up and further. And so actually, to keep pressing ahead, to keep thinking big, to be really intentional will always take you on that growth journey. But, as I bring this into land, don't go alone. Many people have tried to go alone, and it hasn't worked for them because you'll run out of fuel. You need people speaking well into your life. Good accountability will help to take you there. And as I said earlier, that a setback can be that setup to come back. And I'm sure everyone listening, there will be things that will be that may be holding you back, but actually you can step back up to move forward. And if I say this, effective coaching, and I think tonight has been, because I'm a coach, so I can't help myself because I want to help other people, so I can't help myself, I've got to help you, is actually effective coaching can be a game changer for you. And I believe tonight has been a game changer for some of you tonight, because I know that if you put some of these things into practice into your own life, you'll be continuing on that journey of growth to a whole new level. And guess what, friends? You're going to impact even more people than you are today, because tomorrow is brighter because you're pressing forward.
Wow. I was going to ask you for last words, but I think you just did last words right there. Guys, everyone, can we just send our appreciation to Tony? There's been just so much we've learned. we're going to keep the recording on for another 24 to 48 hours. In fact, last week's recording is still on. I haven't taken it down yet because there was so much value, and I just thought we'll keep it there for people to come pick up. Hey guys, come on, let's send our appreciation to Tony. I know you've gotten so much value from today. I'm just going to wait to read some of these as they come. Someone says, this is awesome. This is awesome. Let me see, where's that? Thank you so much, Tony. This is awesome. Come on, guys. Let's send our appreciation. Thank you so much. Thanks ever so much, Tony. Good. Actually, Odeyemi, as you can see, is also a member of the John Maxwell team.
Oh, okay.
One of the great people doing some great... He's doing some great, amazing stuff in Nigeria and across the world.
What I was going to say, Aaron, as well, is on my website, there's a paper that you can download, which will help people enter this. So, if they want to go to my website. So, guys,
keep thinking big.com, I believe it is.
Yep. And then, if you're working with teams, if you're looking at strategy, I'll put 2 papers on there that you can download tonight. It's free. You can do that. Just go to keepthinkingbig.com and you can download it.
Thank you, Tony. Tony's come to add value.
I love your community here, Aaron. And as I said right at the start about, you've got a community here that's showing an attitude of gratitude is really good.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing all this in. I don't know who we have next week, but as always, we would always have someone who would come, who would teach, who would give us great value. And we gather here every Monday to come and learn. Guys, I continue the Power Principle also on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. All right. Have a lovely week, everybody. Someone says this is a lot to chew on. Have a lovely week, everybody, and see you on Thursday and next week, Monday again. God bless you all. Bye, everybody.